twitched. Arturo Conti was a somewhat reliable informant, if a bit of a hassle to handle. As a perennial disappointment from a high-ranking vampire clan, he had the unique combination of access to closed doors and the benefit of being ignored by those who thought him useless. Tayi kept Conti supplied with pretty attendants and party invitations. Conti gave Tayi what he thought was harmless gossip, which Tayi then sifted through like a wizened prospector. It was not uncommon for Conti to go missing for days. Odds are they would find him blood-drunk under a tree. But the Night Queen had thought otherwise, and sent Tayi to find the wayward vampire and bring him in from the dark. Tayi knew to listen carefully when his mother spoke. She had not risen to power due to her ethereal and deadly beauty. She had a keen mind that worked on a staggering timescale. By the time her enemies realized she had outplayed them, the Night Queen had already moved on to her next targets. Tayi's mother was a primordial shark, ever moving, ever hunting, never quiescent. This time his mother had convinced him with only one word, a name: O'Malley. Pierce Yang, king of the vampires and leaders of the Shadow's Den, was the balance on the scales of power to Tayi's mother. He ruled the den with brutal strength, as opposed to the Night Queen's quiet subterfuge. But above all else, Yang could be relied upon to follow the law, and Tayi's sources had already informed him of the Vampire King's moves. Keegan O'Malley was a different story. In the short time he'd been in Seattle, O'Malley had managed not only to make a name for himself, but to also pull a large number of vampires to his banner. At first, Tayi had brushed it off, thinking O'Malley was merely rounding up feral rogues and using them as attack dogs. But lately, O'Malley had been spotted with a growing number of mature vampires, a number that had caught his and his mother's attention. O'Malley was growing a new power base, and Tayi didn't know where it was coming from. Tayi hated it when he didn't know something. As the Night Queen's Whisper Master, it was his job, his pride even, to know what others only thought they knew. Tayi took rare joy in not only the knowing, but having the knowledge before anyone else. Somehow O'Malley was making a move, and he'd managed to do it in a blind spot that Tayi hadn't even known existed. The very thought chafed at him. The scent of death and blood grew thicker, more present. They were close now. A low hum came from ahead of them. He drew Eloise to his side and silenced her with a look. Tayi moved forward and pushed aside a large fern frond. Fat flies covered the body in a thick carpet of buzzing wings. The shifter had been dead at least a few days, his thick pelt brittle as twigs with desiccation. A thick pine tree lay on its side, the roots ripped from the earth. 2 parallel furrows had been torn through the bark of the tree. Eloise stepped around Tayi and covered her nose with her hand. "What?" "Were-bison." Tayi knelt and pointed out the thick ruff of hair around the neck and shoulders, and the horns at the temples. One of the horns had broken off, leaving a bloody stump that protruded from the skin. Liquid, bovine eyes, too large for a human skull, stared blindly into the violet sky above them. Whatever had killed the shifter had caught him mid-change, and managed to bring down a charging were-bison in half-form. No easy task. Eloise prowled to the other side of the body. "This makes no sense. The shifters at the ranch are non-combatants. The whole point of leaving at the ranch is to avoid this." She gestured helplessly to the corpse. Tayi leaned down, ignoring the buzzing insects, until his face was within an inch of the were-bison's neck. He inhaled deeply, pushing his senses past the rot and decay, the blood, and... He sat up and cursed to himself. "What's missing?" Eloise scanned the body, her brows furrowed. Her face cleared, and then fell in dismay. "No!" Tayi nodded, holding tight to the fury in his chest. There was no were-bison blood in or around the body. A vampire had drained